smoke, I told that bitch I'm with the drummer. I got 7.62, bitch, that's big ass Draco for your mama. Bitch, we gon' shoot up the party, bitch. Stick on that retarded shit. Twin got the beam on the Gen 5, we ain't missing shit.
Speedway back in November of 1957. And 14 short months later, the Speedway was completed in time to hold the inaugural Daytona 500 on February the 22nd, 1959. And if you do the quick math, you'll know that we are celebrating our 75th anniversary with the formation of NASCAR. NASCAR was created in 1947 by Bill France Sr. and a group of 30 individuals, because back in 47, Bill France was promoting racing up and down the eastern seaboard. And he became very frustrated from the fact that each track had its own way of doing things. They had their own champion, each track had its own set of drivers, let's say. There were no rules at the track, so people cheated. And the prize money at the end of the day was not always guaranteed. The promoters sometimes left with all the money in the trunk and never was there at the end of the race to dole it out to those who were to receive compensation for finishing the race. So Bill France, in his wisdom, gathered 30 of his closest friends together back at the Streamline Hotel, back at the intersection of A1A and Granada. That's down the road a little piece in Ormond Beach area. And that hotel is still here today. You can go up on that second floor in the lounge where they met and see the place where NASCAR was born. In 1958, they came out with the first rule book. It was a 2-page pamphlet, front and back, of how the races were to be conducted and what was expected of the race team. If you broke any of those rules, there were consequences. And that began the era of NASCAR racing. 35 years later, we've made a lot of improvements, we've made a lot of adjustments on how we race, what the cars look like, and how they operate. And it eventually got to the point in time during that 75 history that they had to start slowing the cars down. Because anytime you give a race car mechanic unlimited tools and no rules on how fast you can make a piece of equipment go, pretty much the sky's the limit, and the speeds kept getting faster and faster and faster as technology and equipment kept getting better. Even to the point where the highest speed recording at one of our tracks was over Talladega when Bill Elliott said the mark could still race at 211 miles per hour. And it wasn't long after that, in a test session, Bill left the Speedway between turns 1 and 2 by going over the retaining wall and outside and down the banking outside the Speedway. And that's when NASCAR officials decided it's time to slow these guys down before somebody gets hurt very badly. And they did. They started the era of restrictor plate racing. I want to play a recording from the 3-time winner of the Daytona 500 as we make our way over to the tunnel under turn 1. Here's Mr. Gordon to give you a welcome to the Speedway.
Hi, this is 3-time Daytona 500 champion Jeff Gordon. I'm pleased to welcome all of you to Daytona International Speedway. Nearly 60 years ago, a small-town auto mechanic named Bill France Sr. dreamed of creating a racetrack that was bigger, faster, and more exciting than any before it. In the ensuing decades, his belief in big dreams transformed Daytona International Speedway into the world's center of racing. Synonymous with names like Petty, Earnhardt, and Allison, Daytona International Speedway has captured the imaginations of the millions who have set foot on these hallowed grounds. Now, Bill France's dream has taken yet another step forward with the reimagination of this American icon, blending the modern amenities that today's sports fans demand with the heritage that race fans expect from Daytona. As 2016 saw the closest finish in the history of the Great American Race, it not only conjured memories of Johnny Beauchamp and Lee Petty's three-wide photo finish in the inaugural 1959 Daytona 500, but reminded race fans everywhere that a reimagined race experience hadn't changed the core of what Bill France envisioned decades ago. Welcome to the World Center of Racing.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, as we go down in the tunnel, the first mural you see painted on the tunnel wall on our left. Now, as we go around the property, when I'm giving directions, I will say my right or my left. And you'll have to adjust your looking to that direction to hear what we're talking about. On my left, coming up, the first mural will be that photo finish at that inaugural Daytona 500, with Lee Petty in the car in the middle of that three-car set. Finished first in the 42 cars, the 73 on the bottom was Johnny Beauchamp. He finished second, and that car at the top of the Speedway, he was the last lap down and did not play into the finish. We don't really know much about that car. The other murals you see are moments that have been captured in time over the past 75 years. And the other murals are of the different types of racing that we have here in Daytona. Make our way out of the tunnel. Look over to my right. You'll get your first glimpses of that 31 degrees of banking. And around the car on race day to go through these high banks, anywhere from single file, double wide, three wide, and on occasion they go through these high banks four wide. That yellow out of bounds line at the bottom of the Speedway is in place because if a car goes down under that yellow out of bounds line, they're considered out of bounds and they cannot improve their position in the running order. They have to go back up into the running order either in the same place they left from or further back in the field. From the yellow line all the way up to the safer barrier, you're looking at 40 feet of asphalt that we call the race groove. And at the top of that 40-foot strip of asphalt, we call that the safer barrier. That stands for Steel and Foam Energy Reduction System. And since its installation here at not only this Speedway, but all speedways and racetracks in the NASCAR stable, they all have this safer barrier installed around attached to that concrete wall on the outside. On the inside, you have hollow steel tubing.
Not that new though.
That's connected to compressed bales of styrofoam in the middle, and those two layers are attached to the concrete wall on the outside. Now when a car makes contact with the wall, the energy is pushed away from the wall after making contact with those hollow steel tubes, and the energy is pushed away from the wall and back down into the Speedway, which has greatly reduced the injuries to our drivers since its installation. And we also have that same safer barrier on the inside retaining wall as well. In front of us, we call this Lake Lloyd. Originally, that was a 44-acre hole in the ground, which is where they took over 1 million cubic yards of dirt and sand out of the ground to build up the infield as well as provide the banking all around the Speedway. On the backstretch, we have 3 degrees of banking built in. That transfers into the turn 3 up ahead of us, over to turn 4, and that's where we have the 31 degrees of banking. Into the tri-oval, where you go back down to 3 degrees, and at the start-finish line, you have 18 degrees of banking. Now that hole we talked about off to the right, After they got all of the banking and the infield built up, it left a big 44-acre hole in the ground, and over time it filled up with water. We have a celebration ceremony before that inaugural 500, and named it after J. Saxton Lloyd, who was a local Cadillac and Buick dealer here in the Daytona area, for all of his help in getting the track completed in time and assisting Bill Grant Sr. to get that inaugural 500 completed when they did on February 22nd. So we now refer to that lake as Lake Lloyd in his honor. Now the lake was originally 44 acres, as you heard me share. Now the lake is 29 acres because we reclaimed 15 acres of that lake. Camping here in the infield. All of these camping spots you see on this side of the lake from one end to the other are a result of that demand for more premium camping. Each one of these camping spots comes complete with water, electricity, the internet services, and enough storage room and sanitation services during the time you're here before, during, and after the races. With the amenities package, it also includes the Boardwalk Club, which is in the middle of all of these camping spots off to our right. And we also have some tiki huts and bars out in the back over the lake. Coming up on the right, you see the area where our drivers, driver families, owners, and their families, this is home away from home farm when they come to visit the property to participate in our events. This is where they will send their motor coaches ahead of time to get set up so that they have a place to go relax and refresh before getting into the activities surrounding the event that they're here to participate in. Across the way on the other side of it, the red, white, and blue trim building, that's the Advent Healthcare Center, and that's where drivers must go in one of our emergency response vehicles after they're involved in a wreck around the Speedway. However, if they can get that car restarted and back to the pit stall, they can make repairs and stay in the race. If they can't get the car restarted and back to the pit because of damage, then that car is towed in and the driver is required to ride to the infield care center where they're checked out by one of the doctors, paramedics, and nurses staffing that facility. Now we're finding ourselves right now in the middle of the fan zone. If you look off to my right, you'll see the red, white painted backside of the Gulf car garages. Now this is an interactive area where you get to go up close and personal with the Gulf car drivers and teams. You see the backside that you can watch what's going on in the garage area on race day, as well as if they're not tied up working, you can pass things in and out of the garage area for autographs. And autographs from anybody you see in that garage. If they're not in the garage and the car is in quarantine and can't be touched again until the start of the race, usually they hang out on the front side of the garage, on the yellow and white side. That faces the seats. And that setup is unique because it is in the shape of a horseshoe. The outside is yellow and white, and you'll be able to see some of those garage areas on the front side when we're over the seats. This is the area you also come to be a part of that NASCAR driving or driving experience. And once you come through the tunnel, you'll just follow the sign to get to the trailer where you can make that happen. So we're going to be making our first stop just up ahead. Drop the chain on the right or left of the direction we're traveling, my right or my left. And in this case, once we come to a complete stop, you may drop the chains on my right. All right, go ahead and do that.
We'll make our first stop in this area. Watching the race on TV, you might have the impression that the start-finish line area is flat because the winning driver gets to celebrate by burning his tires. venue you see directly in front of you on each side of the tower. From one end to the other, it's 0.8 of a mile. You're looking at 101,500 individual chair back seats that come complete with armrests, cup holders, and enough storage room up under that seat for you to store all your beverages and snacks that you're allowed to bring into the Speedway with you on race day. You're allowed to bring a cooler with you, an ice chest that's 14 by 14. And you'll see the difference when they come by. He'll probably have already lapped the other car. Oh, here he goes. Gets around. 101,500 seats. We were talking about the ice chest you're allowed to bring in. 14 by 14 by 14. That will hold 18 12-ounce cans of whatever beverage you choose to bring into the Speedway. You're also allowed to bring in snacks and food items that you enjoy to eat and enjoy during the race. You don't have to buy the first food item.
See our equipment that we have for emergency response off to the left. This is where we use our temporary garages to house all of our emergency equipment. The Speedway does own all of our equipment that we respond to the wrecks and emergencies during the event. The fuel here at the Speedway is 98 octane, 15% ethanol, and this is where the teams bring those big gas jugs to fill them up to be used during the race and during the pit stops. And we're going to make our way across this service road, and we're going to, for a moment, be on the road course portion of our infield. This allows us to have our Daytona Rolex 24-hour and Daytona race each February that kicks off the racing season here at Daytona. Comes up the following February. The cars will come out of the pit if they need service, and they'll be on the other side of that little white wall coming out of the service road. The road we're traveling on right now is part of the active Speedway in the infield. Cars will come back the end of pit road over there around that red blinking light, and they'll come through where you see the fencing up, make this hard left-hand turn, and go into the infield to go around this loop that's off to our left. They'll go around each end with a 180-degree hard right-hand turn, and then when they come around the end in front of us, all the way to the end of that grass field, they'll come up the little short chute, and then they'll make this hard left-hand turn, entering back into the Speedway just prior to turn 1. Now for today's events out on the track, they have it blocked off with the concrete barriers to keep the cars from coming into this area if they have a problem. And that 24 car is picking up driver of that car, which is a non-professional driver, seems to be moving along pretty good in his lap. Speed will get up to about 150, 155 for the rider driving yourself. But if you ride along with that professional, you'll reach speeds of up to 170 to 175 miles per hour. As we leave the infield, we'll make our way back down into the tunnel, and you'll be able to see the murals that you did not see coming from the other direction. And if you're on the right-hand side of the tram, you'll be able to see a little more clear, maybe get a better photograph of that inaugural 500 finish back in 1969. At this point in the tunnel, we find ourselves 40 feet below the surface is where you will go if you're interested in driving or riding around in a NASCAR. That's gate 40 up to my right, and that comes in off of Williamson Boulevard. If you look back behind us off to the right, that's about a quarter of a mile from the red light on Speedway, International Speedway Boulevard. That's around the corner to the right behind us. And all you do is simply leave the ticket office building, take a left, go in front of the Bass Pro Shop on the International Speedway Boulevard. Keep going, it was 8/10 of a mile. The engineers had to take into consideration the curvature of the earth. Due to the length of that structure, it was completed in 2016 and came back bigger and better with all of the latest and greatest technology and amenities that you can think of to go into a seating venue. They took the old structure down to the ground and came back with all new steel and structure for what you're seeing today. It took them 3 years to complete the project that we know as the Daytona Rising. 1% of the steel that was 1% of the steel that was produced in the United States was brought to this property and went into that project. Total cost of that brand new seating venue from the ground up, $400 million. And also in that construction, they redesigned the entrance and exit gates for our fans to get in and out of, which makes it a much more pleasant experience to get in and out of that structure on race day. The Blue Pavilion we're getting ready to go under up ahead is one of our 3 solar panel pavilions we have on property. In total, we have 7,000 solar panels in use that produce enough electricity to power a 1,000 single-family housing structure here in the Daytona area for 1 full year. And it also provides a nice escape out of the sun on race day as you're walking up and down the concourse out front, visiting and looking at all of our vendors' latest and greatest products on display. You got the Chevy gate off to the right. The center gate is the exalted gate. And then past it, on the far end, you have the Toyota gate, and the final gate out front is the fuel gate. You'll see that we have the start-finish line that you saw from the infield. On the start-finish line on the track, it has been painted all the way out into the concourse out front. If you were to walk up to the top of the stairs, you would see that start-finish line continue all the way through, and you'd be standing just above the start-finish line in the seats. And we're going to be making our next stop just ahead at the Toyota gate. We're going to exit on my right. I'll get you through the gate next to the exit gate. And if you're counting steps, you can get 70 going up and 70 coming down for a total of 40 for your visit. Or you can follow me over to the escalator to the right of those cars sponsored by Toyota and still count 2 steps going up and 2 steps coming down for a total of 4. Alright. Drop those chains.
Cars sponsored by Toyota that race in the Cup Series. Now these are just replicas for the most part, but they are the design of the next generation cars and those bodies that they have. And there you can see that center lug nut design that we have gone to with those next generation cars.
Truex Jr., Old Martin. seats. We go. Denny. Hammer. Okay, Denny.
Feel free to walk down and enjoy the seats. Kind of get an idea, since we do have the cars going around the track, of what it's like to be here on race day. Now the 24 car coming around, that is top speed where you're at. And I believe he's slowing down. He's slowing down to come in the pits. That's pretty much your 150 right there.
What are the actual cup cars?
All right, what was your question?
What are the actual cup cars?
The Cup cars, their average speed on a lap when they're bumper to bumper in the big wad, they average a speed around the track of 197 miles per hour. And depending on if they're single file, double wide, 3 wide, 4 wide, that has an effect on that as well. Double wide, if you've got somebody behind you helping in the draft, you can cover this one lap, the 2.5 miles, in about 47 seconds. That's what they can turn a lap in. I think he's going to get some new tires and go get some gas. Now there's a couple of questions we always get asked on tour. I put them off to this area because it's easy to hear me out here in the seats, especially when the cars are not out there or away from us. The first question is regarding tips and gratuities. Are the drivers allowed to accept them? The simple answer from me would be yes. That would be greatly appreciated, but it's never expected. Also, the Earnhardt accident. That's the number one question we get on tour. Now the France family, a few days after that accident, put a number 3 up on the wall where that accident took place. The Earnhardt family met with the France family and asked them to take it down because they didn't want Dale's memory, legacy, and career to be defined by a spot on the wall. So they asked the France family to have that taken down. And within 15 minutes of that request, that 3 came off the wall because they made a phone call from that meeting over here to the Speedway. Maintenance had it off within the 15 minutes of that request to be taken down, and it has never been back up. We respect the wishes of the family. We also had the conversation about how do we answer questions when we get them from our ticket holders and fans when they're on property. And the way all the staff is trained, before ever meeting the first member of the public as a member of the Daytona team. The way we respond on tours, when we get the question, where did Dale have his wreck? We simply point to turn 4 and make one brief statement. Dale Earnhardt's wreck took place in turn 4. That's as close, and that's the extent of the conversation that we have with that topic, out of respect for the family. They approved that one comment, answering the question that we get from our fans. We just don't blow that off and say they didn't want you to think they weren't sensitive to the needs of the fans by saying that's not something we discuss here at the Speedway. It's something we want to talk about, and that's how we talk about it. I hope you can respect that request from the family by not trying to ask other lead-up questions about that accident. There's certainly ways you can find out about that accident with today's technology, and I recommend if you have other questions, you can certainly do that. Any questions about what you're seeing? You see the front side of the Cup Car garage is yellow and white. You see the stairs going up on top. You can walk all the way around that horseshoe-shaped garage setup. And on the other side, you can see where we have those red and white garage sides to interact from the windows and openings. The seats that you're in right now are much larger than what was here prior to this construction of replacing the seating venue. We had aluminum benches in place. You didn't have the chair back seat. You didn't have the nice seats in all the room. You had a 12-inch number painted on an aluminum bench, much like a Friday night football high school experience. Well, we took all of those out, enlarged the seats, gave you more room in front and under the seats for storage, and the things you are allowed to bring in with you, which makes it a real nice event. Yes?
Where did they first asphalt?
They asphalted it back whenever they created it and built it in 1959. Now this particular surface of asphalt is 8 years old. There's no time frame of replacing asphalt. You'll see a lot of caulk, black tar that has been put in cracks that have made them.
Можно полотенце. Знаешь что, Сашка, вот здесь, по-моему, куда-то
Richard Petty. Don't like to spend no money, Petty. This the color.
It's a whole lot of K's, a whole lot of Glocks and Drakes. So who wanna die today? She eat it, so I gave her meat to face. Now she wanna be my babe. She easy, running with peaceful plays. I was just making minimum.